What's up, YouTube? Today's Friday, April 24th. Today I want to talk about the current state of the fitness industry and how the coronavirus has impacted the industry currently and how I see it playing out in the future and some trends and predictions that I see coming from this. And I also want to give you guys an update of currently where I'm at and how it's affected my business and everything going on. And this is for anyone out there that may be a trainer, maybe a strength coach, or maybe just curious about the fitness industry as a whole, or maybe you're in a different industry but could be related to the fitness industry and are just looking for some insight on how things may play out in the future here. So to start, just to give you guys an update, middle of March, the Ontario government mandated all non-essential businesses to close. And so that included gyms. So the gym that I work out of, I'm not the owner of the gym. I'm a subcontractor, so I pay a percentage of my earnings every month to the gym owner. And there's just two trainers, me and the owner. And we were mandated to close around the middle of March. And I could say after about 3 to 4 weeks, we both had a significant drop in revenue, a significant amount, a drastic amount. Now, fortunate for myself, I have an online training business, which makes up another portion of my income, which I'm still able to operate on it. Now, the online training, I've been doing it for years, and it always served as an additional source of revenue. And it gave me the opportunity to work with clients that couldn't see me in person, that may be worldwide, that just don't have that opportunity to see me. So it always offered as a security blanket in a sense. Now, kind of the good news for me, I was able to transition some of my in-person clients to online to not make the drop in revenue as drastic. So I'm getting by fine right now and I'm doing all right, but that's not to say it hasn't significantly impacted. It has, the fact that the gym's been closed down. But overall, I think I'll get through this fine and it'll be all right at the end of this. Now, the first kind of trend that I wanted to talk about coming, and this is more innovation I'd say, is that I think online training is going to become more of the normal. Now, in-person training, online training will never replace the value of in-person training. In-person will always have its value and just be seen and perceived as just better, just because of the in-person aspect of assessing and seeing people in movement that you can't really see or you can't really offer over a video or like a Skype call, for instance. But that being said, online training will serve as a security blanket for the future. So for gyms that have to be mandated to close, their only way to operate and to really generate revenue is through an online virtual aspect right now. It's the only way that they're really generating any income. And for the future, say this happens 10 years from now, online training would be the only way to generate revenue, say again. A lot of businesses are going to be more prepared for it. A lot of businesses are going to offer an online kind of training platform as another part of their service, is what I see happening. Just because it's going to offer a sense of fallback or security if something like this ever happened again. And it's another opportunity to make revenue, so it's kind of a win-win there. So I see the online training platform and virtual training becoming more saturated with more trainers and gyms kind of getting involved in it. And I've been at it for a few years, but a lot of people, and I'd say it's been getting more popular over the years, but it's now just going to kind of be saturated. Everyone's going to be on there. It's going to be a lot more competitive on there, which is good because it's going to force trainers to kind of innovate their online training systems and how they operate online. So that's where I kind of see the online training trend kind of continuing to ramp up, and I just see that kind of continuing to increase with trainers and gyms going down that road. So that's the first thing I see coming. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is that with gyms now being mandated to close and with the coronavirus still out there, and I know gyms will eventually open and the coronavirus will still be out there, but obviously the cases need to be significantly on a downward trend. But how do sanitation protocols, how are those going to be implemented? Are temperatures going to need to be checked before coming into the gym? Are people going to have to wear masks when they're in the gym, gloves when they're in the gym? How is that all going to play out? So that's kind of a question that has been in the back of my mind, and I'm not really sure how that's going to work right now and what we're going to do. That's something that we're kind of looking to see what maybe other gyms implement and Right now, I think one gym or one area to kind of pay attention to is the state of Georgia, which they have opened gyms as of today. So we'll see how kind of gyms kind of play out there. Another thing on top of that to kind of build on that is what happens if someone does get the coronavirus in the gym, or this could be any other business for that matter. Does the whole gym, need to be shut down for a couple weeks or a month? How is that going to be impacted? How is the insurance companies going to handle this? What are the legality issues? Is the gym going to be liable for that? Is it the insurance companies? That's a whole nother issue, which I think they're still trying to figure out with the government and everything. So that's another thing that, there's a lot of uncertainty around. And even say myself as a trainer, what happens? My whole business would have to be, shut down, and it's going to be tough because the difficult thing is once things start to open and more people kind of come back, not everyone's going to rush back right away. And if you're kind of slowly starting to build up and one person gets the virus, bang, you can be right down to square one. Doesn't just have to be gyms, could be any other business out there that is right now closed and is maybe on the verge of opening, like a restaurant. So definitely a problem that's going to need to be figured out and worked around in some respects. Definitely going to be a struggle and going to force maybe businesses to operate in different aspects in terms of their strategies and how they run their business. So that's another thing that is kind of up in the air, I would say. Now, I would also say with gyms right now, I would say gyms that are in a lot of debt are going to get crushed. And I think you already see some gyms closing. I know Gold's Gym, I think, closed about 30 of their locations, and they're not going to be opening after things kind of settle down. 24/7, I think, is 24/7 Fitness is contemplating bankruptcy, I believe. So you're starting to see some gyms that have been struggling for a couple of years right now. This virus was basically just a trigger. When we mandated kind of a whole lockdown of the economy, you're just throwing gasoline onto the fire, and you're going to see those gyms that were struggling are just going to crash and burn now. I also think that for gyms or trainers that were just starting out and maybe they just opened a gym and were just starting to build their business, they're going to get slammed hard. I think they're going to have a very, very difficult time because maybe they don't have their clientele built up yet, and they have expensive rent, and with being forced to shut down, and then with people losing their jobs and maybe not and having mortgages to pay and a lot of expenses, I think it's going to be very difficult, even when things start to open up, that they're going to get clients back in. So I think they're going to struggle mightily. Few other notes on that. I also see a lot of gyms perhaps downsizing. I think commercial real estate is going to decrease. I think what you're going to see is a lot of people that are now comfortable working at home, and companies see that people working at home is a viable option, that they can cut expenses. And they may not need the exact office space or say gym space to operate out of when they can perhaps work at home. So in the fitness industry, I don't think it'll be maybe as impacted, but what you'll see probably happen is that there'll be a lot of people downsizing, and that will force kind of commercial spaces where you may want to lease out of the prices to drop. So that could be a pro to trainers or gyms looking to open up maybe a facility in the future, because I just think the supply will be so high as a lot of people are downsizing and seeing that they can have their employees work from home. They don't need as much square foot to operate out of, so they can decrease their expenses, which I think everyone's going to be cutting costs perhaps after this. So that's another little trend that I see happening, which will be kind of interesting to see how that plays out, but it's something I see. As for the consumer behavior and everything, so this is another interesting thing. With the coronavirus and everything going on, I definitely think the consumer behavior is going to change. So what I kind of see happening is perhaps 1/3 of people, more of the hardcore gym goers, are going to go right back to the gym right away as soon as things open. I think they'll be committed and they're just itching and dying to get back out of it. I also see about 1/3 of people just not coming back for a long time until there's maybe a vaccine, until they're very comfortable with the way things are playing out. And they may not see the gym as maybe just a clean place, even though it may be super clean and everything, just to them, they're still fearful of maybe being around people and whatnot. And then I see another 1/3 just being in the middle, 50-50, where these people have to really earn their trust to get back into, say, the gym, or it could be a restaurant. They have them come back, and I think they're going to be kind of 50-50, and they'll slowly come back, is what I see happening over time. So another aspect too is that sports performance, when you consider athletes, this is an interesting another topic, because with all sports being kind of out right now, we get the cancellation of the OHL season, hockey and basketball, we'll see how things play out here, but for small athletic training groups, athletes and different teams and whatnot, minor league teams, who knows how this is going to play out and how that's going to work out, because I think a lot of these larger groups, there may have to be a lot of changes there, and that's I think there's going to be definitely a big problem, and it's going to depend on also how their seasons open up, and when they open up is going to factor into if they're going to train or not. Also, on the large group scenarios, I definitely think large group training is perhaps going to take a big hit, because I don't think the consumers, a lot of them, are really going to want to be in a crowded area of 20, 30 people, sweating alongside somebody, maybe bumping into people, just being very crowded in that aspect. So I think that large group training is going to need to be downsized into smaller groups until things kind of get a little bit more safe and comfortable. So I think the larger group training models are going to take a massive hit in the short term, at least. So that's something I kind of see playing out in that aspect. And I would also say that larger gyms, like a Planet Fitness, a Good Life, Fit for Less, it's going to be a little bit difficult for them, I'd say, to open up compared to your small studio, just because it's such large scale and they're scaling so many people in there, and that's based on their business model. Now, on the flip side though, I'll say that Planet Fitness, Fit for Less, if they can kind of survive, next 3 to 6 months with enough cash flow and whatnot, I think that their $10 per month price model will work out fine, as long as they can ensure the client safety and everything in that regard. Because from the cost perspective, $10 a month is nothing, and a lot of people will be able to afford that regardless of kind of what happens really. So I kind of see them maybe coming out of this on top, as long as they kind of ensure the client safety and are able to survive this first whole big wave of things, and then once they're able to scale up, I think they'll be fine and make out okay. I think kind of the middle run of the pack gyms are going to get pretty hit hard with regards to maybe your $50, $60 a month membership in terms of a larger scale gym, because they're going to be limited on the amount of people that they can bring in, and when people are trying to cut costs, they may cut that membership down and want to go to a $10 a month gym membership. So it really depends on that, but I kind of see that playing out as well in respect to that. And I think the smaller studios will be able to kind of open up sooner, and will be able to better address the amount of people in the gym much more efficiently, and they'll be quicker to get back to business than compared to your larger big box gyms. So I kind of see that as another little trend happening here. And then to kind of wrap everything up here, there's no doubt that with unemployment numbers shooting up and people losing their jobs, that there's going to be cost cutting all around. And over the past year and a half, 2 years, gyms have been just popping up every week, every other week across kind of, I would say, at least Ontario and Canada and probably the States as well. And what I think you'll see now is that a lot of these gyms are going to close up, just because they're not going to be able to survive this long term. And what it's going to happen is the competition is going to decrease, but there's going to be less consumers rushing in to these gyms. So I think the gyms that have good cash flow, good balance sheets, operate on a good model, and it can ensure the client's safety, I think they will survive in the long run. But I think a lot of these gyms that were just popping up are just going to crash and burn. But it also gives the opportunity for people in the fitness industry and gym industry to innovate and develop new models, and online training being one of them. Ensuring how the sanitation protocols, because I think that's going to have a lot of value, because a lot of gyms were just dirty and messy before. I'm not naming any names, but how is that going to have effect? That, I believe that's going to have a significant factor in where a client may want to train at, and what are the the protocols, and how is this all going to play out, and what models are going to succeed? Is it one-on-one training? Is it the small group, which is going to have its value, and what's going to kind of come out of this? And I think the larger group training is going to take the biggest hit. And how does, in the gym setting, how are things going to be adjusted for the member, for every machine and treadmill? Like, how is the cleaning protocol going to work and all that? So there's just a lot of uncertainty right now for sure, but just some insight and thoughts I wanted to share with you guys as of right now, as I kind of see this playing out. And it's going to be interesting to watch the state of Georgia for sure. I know Saskatchewan has released the 5 phases of reopening for their province, and I know May 4th is they're opening dentists, optometrists, physical therapy, chiropractors, and then I think May 19th is barbers, massage therapists, acupunctures. Then in phase 3 they have gyms, which is to be determined. And I mean, Ontario hasn't released anything, so we'll see how Ontario kind of develops their plan and thinks about it. But I can say that Saskatchewan only has about under maybe around 350 cases or so, and Ontario's got over 12,000. So we'll see, where things kind of play out. I'd say Ontario's definitely behind Saskatchewan by a lot, but that's based on the population and everything. So few things that are interesting to see, and definitely the longer this plays out, the worse it's going to get for everyone. And hopefully, we can come back from this, and everyone can, take this as an opportunity in a sense to innovate and to not so much look at the downside of things, and really just try to do whatever they can to survive. And I think that's the biggest thing here, is just survival for the majority of people out there, just trying to survive until things kind of start to get back to normal and to operate, because there's no doubt that everyone's going to take a hit, and to the extent of the hit is going to be different for everybody, and the length of it's going to be different for everybody. So that's just my thoughts, guys. Anyways, I was wondering what your thoughts are, and what do you think? And a couple questions for you. How do you feel about the whole current state of affairs with the fitness industry, and protocols and whatnot? What would you be comfortable with, and what would you want to see from a gym? What would make you feel comfortable going back? And would you go back right away, or would you want to wait? Would you wait things out? That's my question to you guys, is how would you feel if things were to open? Would you go back right away, or would you want to wait a couple months or maybe a month to see how things play out, or perhaps longer? And what would make you feel safe about going there? What would need the gym owner, or the owner of the gym need to do to ensure that it's safe and clean for you to go in there, and to make sure that it's pristine condition, everything is in there. Just a few thoughts on that, and wondering what you guys have in terms of that, and maybe you guys have some insight that I don't know, and I'd be happy just to hear your thoughts to help kind of maybe give me a couple ideas, and also to just I wanted to share those thoughts with you guys. So hopefully this video you guys found useful and helpful, and just a little different in terms of the thoughts and kind of just state of affairs of everything going on. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Okay, take care and see you later.